Hello, World Wide Web. Welcome back to the Hangin with Web Show. I'm GW Pomichter. Thank you for logging on and tuning in and clicking links and however you got here. We're glad you came. Now, one more thing. Go ahead and hit subscribe. Come back over and over again because we've got authors, artists, filmmakers, musicians, creative minds of all kinds right here on the Hangin with Web Show. We are at Indie Bookfest 2019 and we're hanging out with author Gary Zeiger. Zeiger rhymes with tiger. But it's not a tiger, it's a Zeiger. You figure it out, you work through it, and we're going to talk to him. Gary is the author of the Stingray series.
Yes.
We have Stingray Can't Hide Forever, which is book one, and Stingray Prophecy, which is the most recent book.
Correct, second book.
Outstanding. And he brought art. Because he's like my favorite guest today, because he brought stuff to make the set look cool, which is awesome. So, Gary, thanks for hanging out with us, man.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. I'm good.
How's IBF going for you?
It's going well.
Yeah?
Yep, having a good time.
Having a good time so far? Awesome. All right, so, well, let's talk a little bit about your writing journey to start with. How long have you been writing?
Well, I hate writing. I always did as a kid. And the funny part is...
That wasn't the funny part.
No. The funny part is I'm now an author. So probably about 10 years ago, I got this story in my mind because I'm a sci-fi fan.
Okay.
I love the classic science fiction, Star Trek, the original series with William Shatner, Battlestar Galactica, you know, Buck Rogers, the black and white version. I think I just dated myself.
It's okay.
You know, those kind, Lost in Space, those kinds.
No offense, Gil. It's just that really, you had better days.
Yeah, I watched that one too, you know.
We had to. It was all we had back then.
It was.
I like to remind people all the time that science fiction has really come of age in the multimedia world today, but it's due in part to the fact that technology can finally do with what our imaginations have always wanted it to.
That's correct. I mean, you know, if you watch Star Trek or any of those, do you know how they made those sound effects?
Oh, it was.
They took sheet metal and went woo to make those kinds of noises.
Yeah,
where today you just punch it on a keyboard and it makes it.
Yeah, you can create entirely new sounds today. We are here, both of us, as a testament to what technology can do, because technology opened the market for indie and small press authors. It opened the market for us to be able to do the show with you guys. And for the science fiction community, it has given way to the ability to. I remember as a kid watching Saturday mornings, we would watch the old Godzillas that were coming in and thinking, oh my goodness, you know, the man in the rubber suit and everything else. But we were enthralled with the stories.
Yes.
We just wish they could have been, you know, more visually entertaining. And today, what I told about the last Godzilla movie was it was visually stunning. And I'm thinking, see, we couldn't do that when we were kids.
No, they couldn't.
And so, you know, so you're drawn to science fiction. You write the first book.
Yes.
Okay,
and yeah, so I had to get this story out on paper or digital, whatever. As the gray hairs were popping out, so was the story going away. So I really had to get it down. So I wrote Stingray Can't Hide Forever. And then there was like a 7-year gap between Prophecy, and unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately. Fortunately, it's because the grandkids came along. And you know, you sit down and write, and getting ready to write, and the grandson calls, Grandpa, can I come over and play?
the answer, by the way, is always yes.
It's always yes.
It's always yes.
Oh, okay,
Yes.
put the computer aside. So
That's right.
Yeah, so that was kind of the big gap there. So Prophecy is out. This is out on audio, and this is in post-production. That was another thing with technology you're talking about. You know, I'm in technology as my profession,
Okay.
so the post-production of the audiobook, while I didn't read it, I had an actor do it. I post-produced it, so I did all the audio engineering on it, and doing it on Prophecy as well. So
awesome,
a lot of that comes with the advances in technology.
The opportunities for creative people there's never been a better time to be a creator than there is today. The technology for video, for audio production.
That's correct.
And if you're an author, if you're a writer, and you know this is your dream, it's with online publishing companies and print on demand and small press companies that have come up as a result of that. People who have an expertise in the marketing or in other things, and we have opportunities we never had before. And when we were young, if you weren't Gene Roddenberry, you weren't doing
That's
sci-fi.
correct.
If you weren't Ray Bradbury, just don't bother applying.
Correct.
Today we can do it, and that's amazing. So let's talk a little bit about the story. Okay, what is the Stingray Universe all about?
So it's set in the future, and I like to, a lot of it, as I read, I like to use my imagination. So I kind of try to push people, the readers, to use their imagination. So I don't give it a fixed date, just make up where sometime in the future. Basically, it's a former Star Cruiser captain who's, in that first book, putting the band back together to rescue his protege's little sister from the evil conglomerate and keep the state-of-the-art...
That happens.
And keep the state-of-the-art
Not all
ship.
conglomerates are evil. We live in Orlando. I live in the Orlando area, and we're here with Disney. Some conglomerates are nice and fuzzy and cuddly and send our kids to college.
Yes, they do.
But his is not. His is not that kind of conglomerate. His is evil.
Evil
conglomerate.
Evil conglomerate.
Okay. Yes.
And and keep the starship out of their hands because it's the state-of-the-art warship.
Okay. Yeah. Fantastic.
So.
And then prophecy. Where did this come from? This was done, and you're like, hey, I did it. It's great. My story's out on the page, and then all of a sudden, this guy pops into your head.
Well, I kind of had 3 storylines in my mind, which way to go. This prophecy has actually a couple more arcs in it.
Okay.
So it's kind of a little underlying. It's more of a. See, I also love the Indiana Jones kind of movies. So I'm trying to weave a little bit of fantasy in this one, a little bit of Indiana Jones, maybe a little James Bond.
Yeah.
And so this one is, prophecy is more of, I guess there's a prophecy, there's 2 worlds that collide together, a primitive world and a high-tech world. They're born from, a world that died. And the crew of the I almost said the Enterprise. The crew of the Stingray has said they're
not going there.
Yeah, they're kind of entwined in this prophecy that the goddess Sophina handed down, and they appear, and the prophecy starts, and a whole bunch of stuff happens. There's some love in it, heartbreak.
Everything you need to satisfy. So why science fiction? What drew you towards science fiction aside from your love of the old sci-fi stuff?
I've just always been a techie.
Yeah.
And that's I'm in IT.
Do you enjoy writing the technical aspects of your worlds, or do you dive more into the story or the characters, or
I'm fickle with canon, so I really do try to make the tech believable. Mm-hmm. Now, if you look at it, you're off the wall, but it could be believable. It's based on current science, but with this is what I hope we can do at some time. With a what if.
That's the beautiful thing about being a writer is favorite question. What if?
What
if this worked a little better, or this worked a little bit,
For example, I don't want to spoil too much, but you're familiar with DNA, human DNA, the dinoribonucleic acid. That's the base of life. Well, what if, there's only a certain number of combinations of DNA that you can have for all living organisms. Mm-hmm. What if we meet, or not what if, when we meet alien life, are they going to share our DNA, or are they going to have their own DNA? Because now all of a sudden you've opened up a whole other universe of possible combinations of DNA that goes above and beyond what our DNA can handle. So what happens? So in here, I address that in prophecy.
Wow.
So, and yes, I was a fickler on the technical details, and I went and consulted with a genetics expert.
That's fantastic.
And,
that's what writers are readers. We have to, you have to research. You have to do your homework. You can build almost anything in a fictional world. Yes. But you have to build it with a building block, and those come from the world we live in. And if you don't do the research, you don't have the building block.
To me, so long as it's believable, then it's good. Then it's okay, even if it can't even be done. But if you can make it sound believable and base it on something that's real, then
there's for years in science fiction, as a matter of fact, there's kind of 2 schools of thought. There's we have to show them how it works so that they buy into the technical believability aspect of it, or we can't discuss it at all. Because for years there's been gravity on starships since the 60s. Star Trek tries to explain the notion of a graviton and how to manipulate them. Whereas you get something like Star Wars or something that's a little further afield of fantasy, where they say, okay, we have it, but we're not going to talk about it, because if we talk about it, then we're going to have to get into things that we could get wrong.
Correct. Yeah.
And so they use character and story to just suck you into that world where you are forced to believe we have artificial gravity, and then again, places like Star Trek or Babylon 5, where they say, okay, we're doing this manipulating gravitons, or we're doing this through creating rotational gravity, but you have to pick one. Are you going to talk about it or not talk about it? If you're a technical guy, you have to talk about it, because that's in your nature, right? So let's talk about your artwork here, man. So you've got the cover designs here. They're actually really compelling covers, really nice. Do you have one cover designer that does this? Do you do your design work? What do you?
Oh no, I'm not that talented. I
brother.
outsource that stuff.
Amen. The beautiful thing about being an indie creator is that we get to work in collaboration with so many other independent creators, cover designers, editors. I mean, it's a fantastic way to network.
Yeah, it is. And it was really fun doing the audiobook, because I did an open casting call, because again, you don't want me droning on and on reading this book to you. So
they don't want me to do this at all, but I do it anyway.
So I did an open casting call, and I had a bunch of, I had a lot of, I don't know if you remember the commercial from the Visine commercial with the dry eyes guy. Yeah, I had a lot of those.
Okay.
And then I had this one guy, Tom Antonellis, who's amazing voiceover artist out in California, and he voiced over 60 different characters in my book.
That's awesome.
He said, you have 60 characters. I said, I do? Okay. I mean, I know my top 5, but everything else, like a red shirt from Star Trek, they just go away.
They're there.
They're there, then they go away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this one has 62. So the next book, I'm going to try for 63 or 64 characters. Now I'm counting, because I have to challenge him.
Oh yes, challenge the voice guy. How many more do you got, man? All right. So you also brought some great artwork here on the wall. Are these characters from your universe?
Yes.
Who are these? These guys?
I had an artist do a rendition for an upcoming project.
Yet not named.
Yes, and. So this is Captain Epsilon, who's the lead character in the book. This is his rendition. And then that's Commander Smythe, who's the XO, or the executive officer of Stingray. And that's Bear. He's obviously the muscle. And he's kind of like the security guy on Stingray. The other two main characters haven't been drawn yet, so by the time I got here, so they're
awesome. Those are awesome. Yeah. Who's your artist here?
Manuel Silva from, I think, Silva Brothers. He did these. He's an amazing animator.
And this is these characters. These are obviously drawn from your character descriptions and things in here. And this is for another project coming up, something that's happening in the Stingray Universe.
Yes.
I take it it's more artistically
inclined
than all this stuff here.
Yeah, and
this show, we travel to Comic-Cons and film festivals and music festivals. If you're a fan of the Hangin' with Web show and you see art like that and you see a story like this, if you can't do the math, I have no idea how you got here. Okay, it's not rockets. It is kind of rocket science.
It is rocket science.
Not really rocket science up here, okay? So when is this coming together here, this project? Are we looking at next year, or are we looking at
end of the year, hopefully?
End of the year, hopefully, yeah. Awesome, very cool. We're going to drop some links for Gary Zeiger's website and all of those things down below, some links for the books on Amazon, so you can find them. And you can you can kind of go and stalk Gary on social media, that you know when he's doing this stuff, okay? And you'll know where to find him up the road. We have to say thank you to our partners and friends. Apparently, we've been having way too much fun talking science fiction. I don't know why she thinks I want to stop. I don't. But before we do, we're going to say thank you to Krypton Radio. Gene Turnbow and his crew over at Krypton Radio are awesome. Hearts Helping Others of Central Florida, Bee and her team are helping families all over Central Florida. We thank them for that. Foxwood Wine Company, because these chairs are really comfortable.
They are.
And much better than the old clunky folding chairs that I had before. Our great friend Josh Bauer at J. Bauer Art, who does our normal art for our set here, including Joker Jr. over there, and of course the amazing Amelia Poole behind me here. We want to thank Indie Originals, Space Coast Comics, and our great friends Rick Shea and his team at Famous Faces and Funnies. These are the people who share our creative artists all over the World Wide Web. We're so grateful for them. We hope that you will become one of them. Share this video, share it on your social media profiles, hit subscribe so you can come back over and over and over again, because you never know who we're hanging with next. Thank you so much, Gary.
Thank you for having me.
Great job.
I
Yes,
appreciate
sir.
it.